Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. We are doing just a very small presentation again today on seed collection. So we are going to jump right in. Present. Seed collection. What is the process of seed collection? First, you want to find the seeds. If you are with an established organization doing this, or if you happen to have your phone on and you can find the website, there are actually apps and maps that have locations of specific plants listed, documented on them. So if you are looking for a particular type of seed, you can search for that in the database and then go out and find those particular seeds. Otherwise, you can also just go to any old park at like a wildland. If you want to find seeds out in the forest areas, you can do that. You can also find seeds out in, now, mind you, a lot of not how should I phrase this? I guess you will need permission in those forests, and because they are public grounds or public territories, much of the time they do say that you want to stay on the paths, and so you would want to be with an organization that has the right to collect those seeds, perhaps for more public spaces. They do kind of frown upon that if you are using it for public or personal use. So that's something to bear in mind. But you do want to go out and find the seeds. Also, if you're not that particular, you can just have like a team of people and you can just kind of grid and find any seeding plants. The seeding happens after the flowering, but you can just go find any of those and collect the seeds, and then you will put them in paper bags. And then they use paper just so that way it is breathable. Here are some paper bags here, just because you don't want any moisture that is on them to collect in plastic, they might mold. So if you want these seeds to actually come to fruition, you will want them to be in like a paper or something that can absorb that moisture, let that moisture out as the seeds dry out more. But the next step is actually to lay the seeds out, lay them out to dry. And this process can take some time. And you want them to be, to feel dead sometimes. You go out and they're not quite at that level where you just can break the stems, pretty easily. So they might not be dry when you collect the seeds. You want them to be as mature as possible though. But sometimes that just doesn't work out quite that way. Or if it has rain too, there might be excess moisture, but you want them to dry out. So you will leave them out on paper again, exposed to the air so the air currents can kind of take away any of that moisture. They will wick them away over a period of time. And then you remove the excess once they are dry. That means the fluffs, but it can also mean any leaves that are attached. And there are different ways that you can collect the seeds. If you just grab like branches or just like the ends of the plants, you can trim off the ends of the plants. You can also just like use your hand and grab the seeds, but you still might get some of that extra detritus and leaves, debris, parts of the stems, so you just take that stuff off. So it's cleaner and you can find the seeds readily. So you're ready to plant the seeds and hey, that is the seed. And so that has the potential to flower when you plant it. There might be like stems and if you were to plant a stem, that's not going to flower. So, you want to find the seeds and kind of clean them up. They call it cleaning. You clean the seeds. Berries, they have a slightly different process sometimes, especially if you have the equipment, because they've got that meat or that flesh on the outside, that like the actual fruit of I guess yeah, fruit is actually the technical term, not necessarily meat, but the fruit of it, and you can kind of scrape that away with your fingernails, but if you're collecting a lot of seeds, then it might be a little impractical. And so there is like a system that you can purchase. and it kind of whips the berries around in a circle. I think it adds moisture, some water in there, and it just through force and movement, it kind of starts to wear away the fruits, and so then you can dig through and you can find the pits of the fruits after it's been through this separation process. So that makes it easier. Um, but there are other options too. You can do it by hand, or you can try and cut off some of that. But you can also uh, allow that berry to dry, but it might be more difficult for the seed to emerge from a dry berry. And that, but you know, how would it happen in nature? It wouldn't. In nature, you wouldn't be able to separate the pit from the berry. Birds might eat the berry and then poop out the seeds, and then you wouldn't have to worry about it. But if they just fall into the earth, then you know, the fruit might wear away or it might dry. So it really depends. I've not done an analysis, a comparative analysis on that, but I do have honeysuckle seeds actually that I let dry in the berry, and I've got some that are not dried into the berry. So that would be something worth experimenting with. And I don't know that I will do that this next summer, or if I might delegate it. We'll find out. But berries are a different process, but you still get the pits out and you can hold on to those. After you have them separated, dried, then you store the seeds. Again, you can store them in paper if that's what you have available. You can use any old bag. Otherwise, you would also potentially keep them in trays like this picture shows. These are a bunch of different seeds for different plants, and they are actually used in conservation projects. So these seeds are used at conservation sites. And they may also be for sale through your local DNR too. You would just want to call and ask and say, "Hey, I'm looking for local native seeds. Do you have anything available?" And I know they have mixed bags, or you know, you can ask for something specific. They also sometimes will have trees available. Um, but with the seeds, you do kind of want to keep them somewhat local, just so that way. You know, you're keeping the like with like, and you're not going to cross hybridize, you know, different styles of the trees in different locations, and it might affect the ecosystem in negative ways. So you do want to be conscientious and use those seeds where they are relevant and where they would naturally grow. Are there any questions? No? Okay, this is just a very small presentation. Sorry, there was a bit of a bumpy start. But yeah, if you do have any questions, definitely reach out. Otherwise, we'll see you next presentation. Thanks so much.